Lots of boxes to unbox in this video. This is the new S1 laser from xTool. This is a 40 watt diode laser and it's fully enclosed. This really is something different. First I'm unboxing the honeycomb bed, and it is a very substantial honeycomb bed and comes with a set of magnetic hold downs. Then I'm unboxing the latest air assist pump from xTool. This has got variable power and an auto setting which works seamlessly with this S1 laser. Very neat unit. This is a riser base, which means you can engrave and cut thicker or deeper objects. So it lifts the laser head up higher. Gives you the option of setting the honeycomb bed at different depths. And then we're unboxing the laser itself. Everything is very well packaged. This one even has webbing straps holding it all together, and it helps you lift it out of the box. It's a really lovely design of laser. It looks very smart. And as I might have already said, fully enclosed. A lot of the parts were packed inside the laser. Be sure to remove these shipping fixings from each side. They stop the gantry sliding about during shipping. And then I'm unscrewing the metal tray base, because we have to install this in the bottom of the riser base. So we're turning the riser base over and then reattaching the metal tray from the main laser to the bottom of the riser. All the screws are provided. Don't forget to put the brackets each end. Turn it back over. Now this is the fully enclosed base. It hasn't got the pass-through hatches. We sit the laser back on top, and then this is fixed to the base via some more screws, and we then install the honeycomb bed, which can be set at different heights. Make sure you push the honeycomb bed over to the right hand side. Now it's time to install the laser unit itself. This is a very substantial bit of kit. All metal construction, really nicely made. Connect the wiring connector and the air assist hose. That sits in this special housing on the gantry. Fix it in place with 2 screws. And this is the probe that sets the laser height, the focusing probe, and that attaches magnetically onto the side. This laser comes with some special rods for supporting the workpieces when you're lasering to give clearance underneath. You don't always need these with the honeycomb bed, but it does help with certain projects. I've removed the vent from the back and attached the hose. Plugging in the power supply, air assist tube and the power cable to the air assist, and then we turn it on. It looks awesome. It's all lit inside. It's got lighting strips and it really is lovely. Next job was to 3D print a hose connector for the smoke extractor. I needed a bit of a longer run, so that slots onto the supplied hose, and this I will attach to some aluminium ducting. Time for a first project. This is a box I've made for some friends for their shop. This is some 3mm laser ply held down by these very clever magnetic holders. We're starting, just checking the framing here. You have to push the button to actuate a lot of these functions. You have to push the button on the front of the laser. You can see the cross indicates where the laser will pass, and it fits very well. Then we process the file, and it will give you a cutting time or burning time. I've generally found that it took much less time than it predicted. You send the file to the laser via Wi-Fi, and then to start the process you push the button on the front, and away it goes. Very, very fast. It did lovely clean cuts. The air assist is activated automatically. It's on low power for engraving and high power for cutting. The low power for the engraving helps keep the laser clean. And here's the smoke extraction system being ducted outside. It's just temporarily sited on our dining table at the minute. My wife was delighted. As you can see, it's all cut out beautifully. And I made this little joke box. I can't show you the whole thing because it's a rude hand gesture, but the mechanism I designed works perfectly. I then did this little sign to stick on the front of it. And now for another box. All the joints fitted together perfectly. I'm very pleased with how accurate this was. This was a box for my daughter for Halloween. Spooky hand comes out when you pull the lever. Different mechanism in that one. Then we've got this slate coaster. And here we are in xTool Creative Space again. And the first thing I do is set the focus height. So you put the cross in the middle of the workpiece. You can see the probe comes down, meets on the surface. The laser head then tracks across to the far right hand corner and does a self check on a little plate over there. Then we're going to mark where the coaster is. So we position the cross to the top left hand corner of the workpiece, and then you hit the button on the front of the machine, and that records the first position. You then move the laser head to the opposite corner and push the button again, and that records the second position. It will then map out where your coaster is in the xTool Creative Space. That means I can then position my logo bang on in the centre, so I know when I engrave it, it'll be properly positioned. So we process it, and then we set it running. It's fascinating to watch how it does it. It came out so well. There we go, it's finished. I lifted the lid a bit early really. I should have let the laser head travel to the back. That came out so well. Really crisp. Next job was to engrave this glass disc. And I used some of this green laser paper. You use it like a water slide decal or decal. So there it is, all dried and trimmed. And we used these special risers to raise up the glass above the bed. This stops the underside being marked where the laser the laser beam passes through the glass and hits the metal, which can heat it up and mark the back side. So just focusing again, as the focusing probe goes down, and then it does a little self-check in the corner, sort of a calibration thing, I think. And here's the finished product. You simply scrape off the green laser paper using a blade and just clean it up a bit, and that worked absolutely perfectly. Very, very pleased with how this came out. I then decided to try the same thing on a glass tumbler. You have to fix it very securely on the bed of the laser. The laser is now installed in my workshop. Keep everybody happy, and it's connected up to my ducting system. Here we're marking out the curved surface of the tumbler. This took a little bit of working out, but I got it going. And it's very clever how it works, plotting the curved surface. This was pushing its capabilities a little bit. It's a little bit too curved and a bit too shiny. But here you can see the probe working its way across the surface. You can just see it displaced the probe a little bit on the outer edge there because it's a bit too steep, the curve. But it managed to do it. Just make sure that that is well secured in place. And here it is, burning away. This was a success and a failure all at once. Because it worked, it engraved it very nicely on the curved surface. And in fact, if you see this shot, you can see how the laser head lifts up and down as it goes across the curved surface, which is very clever. And it did etch it or engrave it. The only problem was I'd used too high a setting and it actually cracked the tumbler. The next thing I did was this stainless steel dog tag. I'm just using the preset settings in xTool Creative Space for doing these things, and that also came out amazingly well. Very impressed with that. Very useful bit of kit. Hello folks, well I've finished putting the xTool S1 laser through its paces, and many thanks to xTool for sending it to me. The S1 is a 40 watt diode laser and it's fully enclosed, and mine came with the alternative riser base which hasn't got the feed through, so it remains fully enclosed. Class 1 laser, I believe, which is ideal for my usage. I would have no use for the pass-through system anyway, and I'd rather just have it fully enclosed. It's better to keep the laser beam confined and safe. It's better for fume control and smoke extraction. But it really has been great bit of kit to use. Very easy to use, very safe, very, very fast. 40 watt power, that's the output power, and it is noticeable how much difference this extra power makes. Power means extra speed. Your cutting ability with a laser is dependent on two things: power of the laser and the speed at which it passes across the work. And it's a balance between these two things as to what effect you want to achieve. More power means you can run the laser faster. You shouldn't leave these lasers unattended, so if you can get the job done quicker with more power, that suits me. It's brilliant. But it's very nice having it all fully enclosed, as I say. The honeycomb bed works brilliantly, keeps the fumes passing through when you're cutting, keeps it all nice and clean. It's very sturdy bed on that one as well. The laser comes as standard with a set of little rods, sort of triangular shaped supports, which you can use if you haven't got the honeycomb bed, which is an optional extra. These work very, very well actually, these little triangular support rods to put under your workpiece. And I would say that even if you've got the honeycomb bed, I would still use those for certain projects, particularly if you're engraving on glass, because you can keep the supports out the way of your engraving. Sometimes when you're engraving on glass, where the laser beam makes contact with metal underneath the glass, it can actually etch the underside as well and create a little bit of a messy result. So those are fantastic. Don't discard them if you've got the honeycomb bed, very useful. I really liked the smoke extraction. It seemed to be adequate for the jobs I was doing. The curved surface focus system, very good. Took a little bit of sussing out. It won't work on extreme curved surfaces, and on certain shiny surfaces the probe displaces a little bit, but generally it's very, very good. For certain things you might even be able to just about get away without the rotary system, but really if you're going to be engraving tankards and glasses, the rotary system is a great addition. My original plan was to install the laser up here in my attic with the smoke purifier, the fume purifier thing that xTool do, the separate system. But in actual fact, when the S1 arrived, it was so big I couldn't fit it through the loft hatch. So I've scrapped that idea. It's installed in my outside workshop and connected up to my ducting, so the smoke is extracted externally, which is actually a better system. I usually use Lightburn, and I really get on well with Lightburn. I sort of sussed out how to do just about anything on Lightburn, which makes it very easy. The problem with Lightburn, it's not fully compatible with the S1 yet. You can't use all the features that the S1 has on offer. So I did end up using xTool Creative Space a lot more. And I am getting to grips with it, and it is actually a very capable bit of software. And it makes using the S1 very, very simple. It just links with it so perfectly via Wi-Fi. It makes the whole job a lot easier. If I was to make any criticism at all of the machine, which is hard because to me it's pretty well perfect for what I want, the only thing I would say is I would put the emergency stop switch on the front where it's more accessible. I'd probably put the on-off switch on the front where it's a bit more accessible, and possibly the key slot. It's got a USB safety key system as well, which I'd probably make that a little bit more accessible so it's easier to remove. Once it's installed in my workspace downstairs, it's quite difficult to get to these things on the back. But these really are minor gripes. I think all in all, it is just one brilliant bit of kit. It's a real game changer, and I think that it sets a new standard for these diode lasers. So who would I recommend this laser to? Well, anyone really who wants a good quality laser. It's good for people who know what they're doing, people with experience, people who want to use it commercially, also good for hobbyists as well. It's also very good for beginners because it is very safe and very easy to use. The price might put some people off. It's not at the budget end, but at the same time, I think for its capabilities, it's actually quite good value. The power of the laser being 40 watts, it's approaching the abilities of a lot of CO2 lasers. But you have to remember that CO2 lasers will cut a few more different materials than a diode laser. Diode lasers don't like clear acrylic. CO2 lasers will cut clear acrylic. But for what my requirements are, I think it's fantastic, and I would wholeheartedly recommend it. Anyway, thanks again to xTool for sending it to me, and many thanks to you guys for watching, and I'll be back soon with some more videos.
More rubbish coming soon.